I was asked to chant this mantra so that you can imitate me, I guess.
Yes.
And I've declined because uh, I studied Sanskrit 15 days. That's it. And I studied from a traditional Sanskrit Pandit. And traditional Pandit, the way they teach is very, very traditional.
Yes.
So on entire 2 weeks,
They-
he taught me how to say ah. And no matter how I say it is never right. So this one I will ask some. I have many Sanskrit scholar friends. I will ask them to chant and send it to you if
Okay.
possible, because Tibetans, they don't pronounce well. Then already the Tibetan pronunciation is bad, and then I'm teaching you. Then the second generation bad, not
Yeah.
good. But the pronunciation of the mantra is not going to really make a big difference on the power of the mantra, because the power of the mantra is really, remember the word zung is so much to do with the the holding, the awareness, the non-distracting aspect. So I know I have few more to catch up, which I will do very briefly. In the context of the Zung, the non-distracted, just now a couple asked me how to practice as a layperson. How do you combine the relative and the ultimate practice together? So I'm going to answer that, because this is kind of valid question. Okay. Um, there are many methods to practice. Many. The purpose is always to be awakened. What you need to do is you need to learn not to be distracted. Whatever helps you to be non distracted, you should try to apply. Supposedly, sitting straight like this helps you get not distracted. Supposedly. I think it is true. It is true. But what you need to know is, if you are not distracted, you could be lying in a hammock and have a, what is it, the drink, the white drink?
Macaulay.
Makole. It's fine. I'm not making this up. But for people like you and me, beginners, hammock and makole, chances of you getting distracted is higher. So sitting straight helps. Closing the doors helps. Isolation helps. When I say isolation helps, I'm not saying that you should go to a mountain or a cave. Not necessarily. Isolation can be many things. Isolating from bedroom to living room, from living room to kitchen, wherever you are less distracted. Okay. So the technique of so-called meditation is twofold. One is to what do you call it? To concentrate. That is one fold. But that alone doesn't do anything. Concentrate, but know the truth. Okay, so this is called Shamata Vipassana. Shamata makes you learn how to concentrate. Just achieving Shamata doesn't help anything. I'm sure the soldiers who are learning to shoot guns, they're very good at concentrating. Doesn't do anything to get enlightenment. So you need to see the truth. Okay, so going back to the question, how do we practice, especially within the context of the Dharani? So I would suggest something like this. This is really the most basic level. Nothing fancy, very basic. Okay,
겁니다.
day one. You concentrate on your sound of the mantra Dharani as you chant. Okay, so as you say, Namo Ranataya Namaria Avalokiteshvara Bodhisatoya Mahasatoya Mahakaruni By then, you think about a coffee. You understand? Then, by 1 week later, you can actually go a little bit more down before the coffee comes. But, okay, so maybe after 1 month, coffee comes much later. But it is also possible that after 1 month, the moment you say Namo, there's already coffee. That is your shamatha practice. Okay, so as you read Namo Ranataya Nama Avalokite, as you read this, if the coffee comes, then I would not suggest you to go back from the beginning. Just carry on. Otherwise, you will never finish the dharani. But remember, I said after 1 month, probably the moment you say Namo, you will think about coffee. That's a good sign. That's
여러분들
not like your meditation is falling apart. That's a good sign. The reason why it's a good sign is before, even you didn't notice the coffee when you say the Namo. You only notice it later. Now you are becoming sharper. So the moment you chant, the moment you think of the coffee, the movies, the newspapers, whatever. So please chant it this way. And this is, you are chanting Dharani with a Shamatha attitude. Now, the Vipassana. How do we practice? How do we do Vipassana and then Dharani? You chant Namo Ranataya Nama Arya. And then a thought comes. Let's say coffee. Let's say an anger. Let's say laziness. Whatever. Do not judge. Do not condemn. At the same time, don't get entangled with the thought. Basically, do not contrive. That's the way. But there's something even better. I would suggest that one I'm going to tell you, you should do that. Completely having devotion that Avalokiteshvara here and then do it. Don't think about Shamatha Vipassana. I think that's more like our cup of tea. And it's quicker, it's more safer, it's more, I don't know, it's more straightforward. Have total confidence he's there. One face, 2 arms, 1,000 face, 1,000 arms, peaceful, wrathful, however you like. Of that day, do you feel like having 11 face today? Then 11 face. Do you feel like, stuff like this? Yeah. Okay. So that's just my small suggestion. Now the next 3. Number Shemba maybe semi, Tongba Niduta semi, Gubi semi, Dambi semi, Dreba maybe semi. But all these are really too profound. Can't really explain this in few words. How is the 4th one translated in Korean?
It says 더러움에 탐착된 마음이 아니냐. It is free from the stains of clinging.
Yeah. Good. The dharani, the essence of the dharani is free from stain, non-dualistic. Again, it's talking, okay. Usually, when we have emotion, it always leaves traces. It leaves really bad traces. There are some people who are so smelly that after they leave, the room still smells. Stuff like that. There are certain people who just, they leave traces like, I don't know, used tissues here and there, unfolded, napkins, imprints, basically imprints. Basically like throwing water in the dust. It becomes immediate, it that water immediately sucks in the dust, because we are just so emotional, so habitual, so like so subjective and so objective and so dualistic. So through practicing the dharani, what you achieve is mercury like mind. You can pour in a drop of mercury in a pile of shit, it will remain as pure as ever. So that's what he's talking about, I think. This is a very difficult subject. And then the next one is something that we usually talk about, the shunyata. Basically, the dharani, the Avalokiteshvara dharani's main quintessence of the dharani is teachings on the shunyata. I'm not going to spend too long on this one. I will just assume that we have talked quite a lot in the past and also this time. The next one,
넘어갑니다. 예.
what does it say in Korean? The next one,
The next one says 공경하는 마음,
which
is like mind that reveres.
yes, humility, humbleness. Now that is an interesting one, isn't it? That is so beautiful. The dharani, the quintessence of the dharani is the humility. Of course, we are definitely not only talking about bowing down and letting other people go first and letting other people sit first. I don't know, using the honorific language. That is also there. Dualism is the grandmother of arrogance. That as long as you have a duality, you are not humble. This is why yesterday before the lunch I told you non-violence is not necessarily the compassion that we are talking here. Actually, here we are talking about non-violence a big time. The duality, the moment you have a duality, you are violent. Subject, object, distinctions, bad, good, value, the moment you have that, that's a violent mind. Probably this is not that important, but I want to say this. This is what I said right at the beginning. People must visit sutras. People nowadays think that all religions are violent. And I'm sorry, I'm not that polite here, but yes, probably the Abrahamic religions are violent, but you can't bring violence here because we are talking about absolute non-violence here. Absolute. When there is no distinctions of bad and good, how can violence begin? When a person understands everything as an illusion, then person becomes the most humble and then reveres. Yeah, this is the interesting part. One would think, okay, if you think something is illusion, then you don't revere it because it's an illusion, but it's the opposite actually. Every illusory aspect of phenomena becomes holy, which then leads to the next one. What is the next one? Dambi Semyin. I don't know how the Koreans have translated this.
A confused, perplexed mind, something like that.
Oh, well, anyway, in Tibetan, it's called Dambi Semyin. It's the mind of holy.
Oh, I think I skipped one. I think it's the other way around.
I see.
In Korea, first it says the mind of revering. The second it says lowering your oneself, which is being humble.
I see.
So I think the
okay.
order is different.
Okay. Dambi Semyin, which is that kind of dharani, the quintessence of the dharani, the eighth characteristic or the quintessence of the dharani is the holy mind, the venerable mind.
Rinpoche, can I explain the order?
Yeah. It's a venerable mind. It's venerable mind because it is not stained. It's
Yeah,
not a faulty mind. Okay, then the last one, Devameva. Um, how's the last one? How is it translated?
Debamepa.
Devameva.
A mind that 위없는 깨달음. Unsurpassable mind. Unsurpassable.
Okay, unsurpassable is fine.
Unsurpassable.
Basically, this is quite an important one actually. Devameva. It's like the lotus is born in the mud, but it is never stained by the mud. It it what do you call it? Surpasses, excels from the mud where it is not apart from. So likewise, the enlightened mind, although roaming in the samsara, the mud, it does not harm the quality of enlightenment. Okay, I will let you ask some questions now.
I have one question here written. There's a saying in Korea that if you just focus on one, and if you there's a culture of practice that you just focus on one practice until you achieve something. So one of my friends has been doing this great dharani for a long time, and now she started as to solve her own problems. Now she's having spontaneous thoughts of doing it for all sentient beings, and she can recite 1,000 times in a few minutes, and is always running in her head and has a lot of concentration. Uh, Compared to that, I've been like studying Lamrim, Bodhicharya Avatara, etc., and didn't have time to focus on one thing for some period. So is it more easy or a way to reduce time to just focus on uh, practice rather than trying to study and practice at the same time? And is this a more direct kind of way to get to the enlightenment rather than trying to do everything?
It's like this. It really depends on your motivation and the aim. If the aim is such as enlightenment, and of course, I would say no time should be wasted in doing all kinds of study. Just practice it. So, why then do we hear these teachings and study? Okay, for a practitioner, study can be important because at times when we practice, because of our emotion, because of our habit, we begin to doubt to the path. At that time, rational, logical study can help. And there's another reason why study can be helpful. Not necessarily for everyone, but for those who are stakeholders, responsible people. I will give you a long answer for this one because I have been thinking about this recently. Okay, I'll give you an example. Yoga. I'm sure it's popular in Korea because people wants to be slim and fit and blah blah blah, all that. And most of these yoga practitioners, they don't even know where yoga came from. Most of the people don't even know yoga actually is a Sanskrit word. And there are a lot of opportunists out there who always like to claim that they've come up with a new idea. for the first time ever, which if you read it, it's all plagiarized from the past. And they come up with new yogas, a little bit, from, the sort of the actual yoga, whatever the things that came from India, but then you blend it with a little bit of Californian this, Scottish this, Cape Town that. The masters, great spiritual masters, they are not interested in packaging because they are not selling their products. For a great masters, for each individual disciples, he or she will guide according to their capacities. For
진짜
these opportunists, they make a packaging which can be sold in big numbers so that they can make a lot of money. And they try to hide the fact that yoga came from India. In about 50 years, because yoga is not just the slimming or whatever. Yoga is very deep. It is a whole civilization. It's a whole philosophy. And that will be gone. Okay, this is what's happening. I'll give you a very good example. I come to Korea here. I eat kimchi. Okay? Then I go to Bhutan. Not many people know about Korean food, let's say. Then, I eat today kimchi. And I fly and take out a little bit of kimchi from my stomach. You understand? Still a form of kimchi, but it's already digested a little bit. That I give it to Bhutanese and say, this is something so special. And then never mention the original kimchi. So I become the great dish maker. Okay, so I protest that the credit of yoga is not given to those great rishis of India. But who cares about yoga? I'm not a yoga stakeholder. I'm a Buddhist. And I have some sort of a name that is supposedly a stakeholder of Buddhism. And here I have few complaints. Already that's happening. Definitely it's happening in the West. It's now beginning to happen in the East. Mindfulness movement. It's all stolen from Buddha. They never give credit to him. You should take them to the court. Especially these Westerners, we should take them to the court because intellectual right idea was invented by them.
Intellectual what?
Intellectual copyright.
Copyright. Okay.
Number 2, vipassana. Nobody mentions about the Buddha. And then if there are Japanese who are here sitting, I also like to complain to them a little bit. They are forgetting that wabi-sabi came from Buddha Dharma. The tea ceremony, akibana, all this came from Buddha Dharma. See, So, what I'm saying is for some of those who are stakeholder, we need to know these things. So therefore, study is important. This is true, like vipassana. It's a bit like this nowadays. Oh, okay. It's all business oriented. Mindfulness is kind of helpful for depression and mental disorder. So, of course, there is a business. So, you cherry pick this out of Buddhist sutras. Or reincarnation, that's old, archaic, Indian stuff. Get rid of that. Guru devotion, that's really, really, outdated sort of, stuff. So they choose few things. Emptiness, they can't find any use in it. Because shunyata, what to do? Mindfulness. Now there we can sell something. And I'm not even mentioning about the relative truth. Almost 2000 before Einstein, Buddha already taught time is relative truth. I'm not even mentioning that. I'm mentioning about things. What will happen is it will dilute. And now there's something worse that's happening, which is Now, many of these mindfulness, vipassana, that's all sort of packaged, but never mentioned about Buddhism. That's coming back to the source countries like India, Bhutan, Nepal. And they are learning, whoa, what is this? Isn't this great? Completely missing that this is something they have it in their shrine. Never read, of course. And I'm sure I have a feeling this is a little bit like that in Korea too. Of course, there is a question about skillful means. Don't you have to be skillful in packaging? I agree. But a stakeholder of Buddha Dharma, while being skillful, they must keep the fundamental teachings alive. There are a lot of new Buddhists in the West now. In their mind, Buddhism is automatically synonymous to meditation, mindfulness. And meditation is always something to do with the mindfulness. Little bit of non-violence here and there. And a little bit of, vegetarian. That's what they think Buddhism is. You are missing a lot. Because Buddhism is much, much, much more than just smiling face. So this, for that, um, you know, have to, really be alert, I think. I will give you a good reason why. Okay, for seal, compounded things are impermanent, all emotions are pain, phenomena has no truly existent, in nirvana is beyond extreme. Now, mindfulness without this four is perfect cause for constipation. No need to be mindful then. If you don't believe in these four, what's the point of being mindful? While you are sitting on Zafu, you are missing a lot out there. There's a lot of fun going on. Anyway, I've got a little bit carried away. I'm sorry. Anyway, this is it now. I have managed to sort of, I summarize the sutra. I hope that it gave you at least some sort of a knowledge that the sutra has a lot of dimension. Oh, by the way, the sutra in Tibetan that I've been reading is translated from Chinese to Tibetan. It's not a Sanskrit to Tibetan. So please, those who are connected to this path, carry on with a 100% conviction towards Arya Avalokiteshvara. Being connected to Avalokiteshvara is a very big honor. It's also a very big privilege. And Avalokiteshvara plays a very important role in this part of the world. Chinese, Korean, Japanese. Reciting, writing the Dharani, wearing the Dharani, having a Dharani in the house, listening to Dharani, even one flower petal offering to the Dharani, the merit is infinite. This is statement from the Buddhas of the past and the present. Okay? So with this, the sutra is completed. We will take a break. As I said, after the break, we will have a short transmissions of few things and then refuge.
Okay.